Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Spiritual teaching is a tricky thing. We are using words, talking about things that cannot really be talked about. We can talk about problems on the way. We can talk about many things that can be talked about, that can be understood, that can be resolved. But the essence, what we are pointing at, cannot be put in words. Now, there are teachers, they just have their way, and they teach that to everyone. And those who like it, they come to them, and it's the right thing for them. Sometimes people hanging out, and it's maybe not the right thing for them. And after some time, they find out they have to move on. But then there are teachers like great beings like Ramana Maharshi. They are capable of teaching according to the need of the person. And so we can find that he is telling different things to different people. Now there are so many devotees of Ramana Maharshi. He brought such an intensity in this world that he keeps on inspiring people after such a long time that he has left his body. And people like to be knowledgeable and quote from Ramana Maharshi. And one favorite quote is very popular, that you are already dead, nothing needs to be done about it. At the same time, people don't see that he kept on telling people to practice something. You are not the mind, but he's kept on telling people to make their mind strong. And what does it mean to make the mind strong? So sometimes Advaita people told me, no, you have to make the mind weak to let go of it. No. To make the mind strong doesn't mean that we are thinking all the time. To make the mind strong means that we learn to be quiet. If we can, without thinking at all. If we can't, then learn to pick up one idea and focus on that without getting distracted in all directions all the time. That's what he meant with a strong mind. It means we stop thinking. And he kept on telling to people to practice something. Often he asked people to do self-inquiry, but he asked people also to be aware of the breath and very rarely to control the breath. And he gave mantras. He gave mantras to people for the same purpose. The teaching is not explaining reality. It's simply pointing at something. The legend about Buddha says that when he had his great enlightenment under that banyan tree, after that he was for a long time sitting there wondering how can he convey it to the people. And he doesn't try to define reality. After that he came out with the path, with the eightfold path, the 8 different aspects that we can handle in a proper way in order to become more detached, in order to become more conscious, in order to become more quiet. Ramana, if you read his talks, you can see there is a general line that comes. Every teacher has his favorite way that comes true all the time, again and again. But still, you see that he was teaching people different. And once one Goenka Vipassana man told me that Vipassana and inquiry is the highest. And I said, well, but Ramana also asked people to be with the breath and sometimes to control the breath. But if somebody couldn't do self-inquiry, then he advised him to do that. And he said, yes, yes, because they couldn't do, thinking that inquiry is the highest, but he did also the opposite. He gave mantra, and people would come back and say, I cannot do that. I cannot just repeat one word or one line over and over. It somehow doesn't fit. I can't do it. But he said, okay, do self-inquiry. Doesn't mean that when he did that to somebody telling that the first instruction was the highest, and then, okay, if you are not capable for the highest, do something else. Nisargadatta Maharaj is being quoted by different people. And especially from his last period, there are different people who have written books and about his talks. They taped talks, and after that they put them into books, but they picked out what was favorable for them, and it's amazing, you wouldn't think they are talking about the same teacher. If you read from one person what they have picked out from his teaching, and from another person what they have picked out from his teaching. When I first came to India, I was in Bombay in the Chinmaya mission, and I had the good luck that Nisargadatta was still there. So I went to a few of his satsangs. And in that same satsang, to somebody, he said, yes, you cannot do anything. You cannot do anything to get to that. And to me, he said, I didn't even ask. He just suddenly looked at me and said, if you want to get that, you must want it. You must want it. That's what I needed to hear. Actually, Amma after that harped on that same line all the time. Those great beings, they adjust their teaching to what they feel the person who is listening needs to hear. And then after that, we can quote and say, this teacher said like this, or this teacher said like that. But it's always good to remember that when they were talking to somebody and said that which they felt is the best. at that moment. For truth cannot be put in words. All the words, they can just point in the right direction. They can give a little vague notion how to look, how to experience, how to be open. And how we are opening up is very different from one to another. Whether we are doing mantra, whether we are praying to God, whether we are worshipping in other ways God, whether we are doing self-inquiry, whether we are doing the traditional approach of Advaita, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I am Brahman. Or whether we are doing it more in a yogic way, being aware of the body, being aware of the energy, learning to harmonize that whole energy field, fill it up with that life force and tune into the cosmic energy and become expansive in this way and quiet. Whatever we are doing, of course, the quote is right. You are already dead. Nothing needs to be done about that. But all our efforts are to become aware how much we are preventing ourselves from being in the natural state, and so we practice. Not really to attain that reality. That reality is there. Without that reality, we couldn't practice. We couldn't think, we couldn't smell, we couldn't taste, we couldn't have an experience. And a devotee from Amma who had been studying the traditional Vedanta, and then he was talking with Amma, and she was talking about God, and he a little bit in that arrogant intellectual way said, "Oh God, God, where is that God?" And without a moment's hesitation, the answer came from Amma, there where your question is coming from. That which makes the experience possible. That is the goal. That is what we want to become aware of. It's here, it's now, and all the practices should lead us back here. That's the purpose of those practices. And the teachers, they are teaching them knowing that they are not going to bring something about which is already there, but help to remove the obstacles. The obstacles from being in our natural state. So let's practice playfully, joyously, steadily, day after day. Have some time when we can withdraw and practice as good as we can when we are active, when we are amongst people. And right now, there is an energy there that makes it a little bit more difficult. I have heard a number of practitioners say that usually they could connect easier, and it's difficult these days. And there is an energy that is pushing people in such a way that it makes it a bit more difficult to consciously connect and relax. That's not a reason for not practicing, but a reason for that much more. Be regular about practice and remind ourselves to be alert. Alert here and now, alert in our conscious experience, and practice in that way. even with more sincerity. When it's being made difficult, that doesn't mean we should stop, but it means, okay, there is a hurdle and we can overcome it. For the essence is still the same. The essence is here and now, and somehow or other, we learn to bring the attention back home to that simple, unfathomable essence. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, my friends. I stop talking like that, and I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone who would like to say something? You are welcome to come in. Crow wants to say something. Hello, Leela.
No, Nava, you go.
Okay. Now, you are still muted. You have to put the microphone on.
There we are. Okay.
Ah,
Hi,
yes.
Werner.
Now I can hear you. Hello.
Okay, a couple of things, Werner. First of all, I have been thinking a lot about evil lately.
About?
Evil.
Oh, evil. Yeah.
Yeah. Partly because of what's happening in Israel,
Yes.
partly because of things that have happened to me in my life.
Yeah.
And it never makes sense to me when it's said that you have to have evil to have good. I can't really, but this week I was just sitting quietly one day and I saw like a picture in front of me, and it was like a puzzle or a mosaic. And I saw evil and I saw good. I saw happiness and I saw suffering. And they all had to be there for the picture to be complete. And it troubles me what I saw.
Yeah.
Troubles me a lot. So I just wanted to ask you about that.
That one essence is beyond good and evil. It's something that we can just not have a notion about it, not even that it's good. For exactly, as long as we think about good, then immediately we are implying not good. As soon as there is an expression, as soon as there is a manifestation, there is a polarity. There is a positive and negative aspect in order that the manifestation can be there. If they merge, the manifestation disappears in its essence. So without polarity, there is no manifestation. The gross manifestation and even subtler manifestations, they have a polarity. Now, this polarity can be very much in harmony and not create evil, but be a harmonious expression of that one thing which is prior to any manifestation. But then in the manifestation, there can be an imbalance. And if there is an imbalance, some consciousness may hook into that imbalance and strengthen it. And then that polarity, which is basically perfectly all right, loses its smooth flow, and there can be destructive elements come out of that. And then if somehow more people tune into that, then it's becoming stronger. And there are forces then that learn to feed on them, that, and build on that and keep it. And so that's what we call then evil. But basically, it would not be necessarily evil. It's just that there is the positive and negative aspect, and if they are in balance, there is no evil. But if it's unbalanced, then it becomes destructive. Now, what is really good? What is really evil? Consciousness naturally is expansive. Consciousness is manifesting, is expressing itself in order to expand the experience, essentially remaining the same, but still the experience of that essence keeps on expanding. And for that, the manifestation is there. Now, everything that makes consciousness contract instead of let it expand, that's what we are experiencing as sorrow, as pain, as suffering. And that's what we call evil. Everything that is promoting that consciousness should not be expansive but contracting instead of that, that feels like destructive, painful suffering, it's like hell. And everything that is supporting consciousness in its natural tendency to be expansive, we are experiencing as good. But then the moral aspect that we give into it is a human addition, that consciousness on this human level likes to have categories and puts everything like that. It's simply unnatural, what we call evil. It shouldn't be there because it's unnatural, but somehow in the big plan, I guess it's perfectly all right that the possibility for that is there, that consciousness can go into such imbalances in order to come out stronger, and be aware that such imbalances are absolutely not necessary. So it's not for nothing that that evil is there, but that doesn't mean it has to be there. There can be positive, negative polarity without it is manifesting and terminating in evil, as long as it's in balance. But if in the manifestation, right, like now, there is a lot of destructive forces going on, there is evil manifesting, and people who are here and living through this may suffer, and we may think it's terrible, but they are also accumulating something that is not lost and makes them in the long run stronger. And they have from their own direct, immediate experience the awareness that everything that is in manifestation, disturbing that balance that should be there, can be avoided, and it's better be avoided than that expansion of consciousness can happen in harmony. So we are here to learn, and somehow consciousness has its own freedom, its own creativity projected in this world, incarnated in this world, that that freedom is being given, that we have the possibility to turn evil. And the more somebody goes into that, the longer they may have to struggle to come out of it, but eventually then that experience will make them also wiser not to do so. So in manifestation, you cannot avoid the polarity. In that sense, you can say where there is good, there is evil. And the two belong there. But the essence What you are is prior to that, that doesn't fit in any category that we can imagine, not even good or evil. But both comes out of that essence. It's not that there are two essences, a good essence and a bad essence, and they are eternally at war.
So are you saying that, let's say everybody was connected to that essence,
Yes,
would there still be polarity?
there is polarity as long as there is manifestation. In the essence, there is no point in conceiving of polarity. But as soon as there is expression, as soon as there is manifestation, there is polarity. Yes. But worlds can be very beautiful, harmonious, joyous, and still there is the polarity that keeps the manifestation intact. But it's in a balance, it's in harmony, and it's full of joy and peace and love and expansive. So manifestation doesn't mean it has to be suffering. But on this level of consciousness, how this world exists, this this possibility is there, that there can be evil, and somehow, why and how this happened, I don't know, but somehow it has contracted a lot and manifesting a lot. People go through hell, suffer hell. The whole world is going through a very hard time, but this will end, and then the world grows out of it, and people, humanity as a whole grows out of it and comes out of it stronger and wiser.
A very long way down the road, I believe.
it looks
A
like,
very, yes.
but at the same time, there may be certain big changes coming along the road.
Sometimes I can see the whole picture
Yeah,
and I can somehow be at peace with it,
right.
which also seems strange to me, but so it is.
Yeah.
And other times it's very difficult. There's something else. I'm not sure there's a question there.
Can I say something to what you just said?
Yes,
Actually,
please.
it's good what you just said. And if we see how people are not well, what is going on, how people are suffering, then there is like a bad, many people have like a bad conscience then feeling okay with themselves.
Mhm.
And we feel nearly like it's our duty, that we are very depressed about it, that we are very upset about it. We cannot be there and see what is going on and then be at peace of ourselves. It feels like then we are like a traitor in that. How can I, for myself, just be peaceful and see how they are all suffering? And that, of course, is totally wrong. Because if we get sucked into that negative current and get depressed and always in tension and upset about it, we are strengthening the negativity. It's not that we should create a wall around ourselves and think, oh, I don't care, I don't give a shit what's happening, I myself try to be at peace. Not at all. Be connected, see what's going on, but then actually the best we can do, our first duty is still to connect with that aspect which is always at peace, because then we are bringing a very creative, beautiful aspect into it. So it's just the mind that has a bit that hesitation. I think it's not quite moral to be at peace and even joyous when we see all around this suffering. But actually, this is the best thing you can do in that period where so many people suffer. So don't ever hesitate when that comes, whether this is the right thing to do.
Thank you for that. That's it something to do with this. I meet with people who have a terminal illness,
Yes,
and it surprises me that yes, there can be fear there, and but somehow often we connect on a totally different level where there's a lot of love and a lot of connection.
yeah,
And it depends on how I'm feeling. I think sometimes this can't be real. What are we avoiding? And other times I think this is it. That no matter what the circumstance is, we can meet on that level.
right.
Mm-hmm. And that I can bring that. I can bring that to when we meet. That if I'm not overly disturbed by what's happening, it doesn't mean I don't feel it.
Yeah,
But if it doesn't overtake me,
yeah.
then it brings something else to the meeting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. Okay, if I may, just one last thing.
Yeah,
Connected to what I was speaking about at first. Um, I felt very strongly this week how much I have to be connected. I've been at war with my body most of my life,
yeah,
and that's really eased off, and my body felt very relaxed,
right.
something I wasn't familiar with. And I don't know where this came from, and I said, this is where the universe starts. I have to start here, and not somehow that made it easier to, how do I put it, to be with everything outside of me. But I have to start here. This is where it starts. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because your consciousness, as long as you are projecting in this world and appearing in a human form, is somehow tied to that form and experiences where the body is and the surroundings and the limitations that come with it. And if we are not making peace there, how can we radiate peace somewhere else?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. That the detachment from the body, that is also taught like I'm not the body, and rather has the tendency to create a bit negative feeling about the body, and this terrible
Mm-hmm.
body, this disturbing me, and having negative attitude is not necessary. The teaching that I'm not the body is simply that we learn not to be so obsessed, because most of the people are obsessed with their body, their appearance, and everything that has to do with the body. And of course, that obsession is again contracting consciousness instead of having the body there as the base where consciousness can flourish and expand. Then that obsession with the physic is also contracting. But if that base on this level is always disturbed, it's also very difficult to be expansive. So you're totally right. Make peace in your own body and relax and feel good about it. And then in that relaxedness, consciousness starts to very naturally be more expansive.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Ariel.
Hari Om. I just want to say one word more to what we just talked, because in my own story, there was quite a period where although I did do some yoga to keep the body in good enough shape that I could continue my practice, my sitting, my sadhana, but there was that negative attitude all the time, and it has be a bit been influenced by the traditional teaching of this is just a bag of blood and bones and it's full of shit and piss and it's a terrible thing, the body. That is not the meaning, that we have that bad feeling, that instead of a help, then this in itself can become a disturbance and a hindrance. This human form is like a temple, but it's the structure of the temple. And people have the tendency to put the body in the sanctum sanctorum and worship it. That's wrong. But still, it's the structure of the temple. And we can very well keep that structure in harmony and learn to relax and learn to feel good about it, not attached to it, but feel this is totally right for the time being, that consciousness is connected to a form, through this form connects with everything else on this level. And if we keep that body in a reasonable good shape and learn to have a positive attitude towards it, then actually this is extremely helpful for our spiritual growth, for the expansion of the experience. And it starts to become much more easy and joyous and playful than when we always fighting against the fact that there is a physical body we have also to take into the equation. When I stopped resisting, okay, there is a body, so what? Let it be and let it feel good. Then that tremendous tension that I had always been carrying along started to dissolve. So let's not be attached to the body, but give it due respect as the instrument that is necessary to function on this level. And we are functioning on this level because we have come here, because this experience, this mysterious connection of consciousness, energy, love with a physical body is an experience that is very valuable. And we can make it more and more joyous and harmonious. And then the human body really becomes a temple, and a person manifest in such a body, a being manifest in such a body becomes a bright light on this level and transcending also this level. Okay, Leela, before you wanted to come in, if you like, you are welcome to come in now.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I wanted to share something about the emotional state of me and like many people. When we ask each other, how are you? Many people say, like everybody. And then I go like, okay, but how do you feel? And we all say the same, basically. We say like we're very sad and worry. So this morning I was very sad, and I was restless. And then my neighbor came out, and I with her coffee, and I went to her and I told her, and I was crying a little bit, like, and I told her, I want to tell you that I'm very sad. it's like a little girl. Yeah, like, you know, when we talk, when little children talk to their parents. And she said, yeah, and right away she gave me advice. And I said, but I don't want you to give me advice. I just want you to hear, to realize that I'm very sad and I'm crying. And I don't expect anything from you. I just want to be able to say it. And there was so much softness there after maybe it was a relief for her that she didn't have to give me advice. It's the situation now that when I'm sad, there are things I can do. Like usually people say, maybe you should go to the forest. It's nice to see the green. It will help you. It could be, but now it's not the case because the sadness and the pain is all over. So, and then I also told her, but listen here, it's so green here around me. Here it's green, and then I'm still sad. So why should I go to the forest? So my point is just like, again, how to communicate to people in a very soft and simple way. About our emotions. And for me, there isn't much to do about it, only to accept it and go through. So here comes my question about, sometimes I become very, not sure the word, but my breath becomes short and pains in the body and health phenomena like, yeah. So I remember asking you before about medicines, and of course I know it's better without medication, but when the nervous system is so fragile and it reacts to any noise or, I don't know, something with short breath, and right away there is pain and like the muscles like go tight, I'd rather take medication because I feel that then there's also a struggle if I don't do it, and that makes it more difficult. And maybe even the harm that this causes the body, I'm not sure about the harm that medications causes the body, but I have been taking the medications, serious medications in my life, and I'm okay, so I don't know. So I just wonder, in a way I know your opinion, but I've never asked you this in such an extreme situation as we are going through now, loneliness and fear, and as Navas said, evil, and yeah. Evil.
Right. You cannot say, yes, it's okay to take medicine. You cannot say, no, it's not okay. Right. Basically, if you can do without it, it's better. But if you feel now it's totally justified, then when you take it without a bad conscience.
Yeah.
Right. And then you take it with the awareness, okay, I'm taking it just to make it possible, to make it a bit easier to deal with the present situation. Try not to do it in such a way that you have to take it after that all the time. but more in emergency situations. But you have to decide for yourself. Nobody can really take that decision for you, but if you feel like, okay, just somehow to deal with the situation, to still be capable of dealing with the situation creatively, then it's justified to take medicine. If you feel like this, then you take it and you don't have a bad conscience about it.
Yeah.
Right. It's good that then if we can grow out of that again. So even if you take medicines, then maybe the next time you try without, or then you try with a smaller dose. And like that, always give you the possibility that you can strengthen also your nervous system and your whole manifestation in such a way that you can also deal with the same situation without having these artificial means. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, the medicines, they have always other effects also. There's a negative aspect in it, and we have to take that in our stride when we take it.
Well, yeah, I know I'm very aware and connected to my health history and emotional situation and difficulties, and along my life, and I've dealt with many situations, both emotional and physical, as I said before,
Yeah.
and always was able to take the decisions, and yeah, I often did what you described now. Only that now it's no, I don't know if I can say different. The only different thing is that everybody around is going through difficulties, you
Yes.
name it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when people do extreme things to support and to help, and really, it's not familiar also, I don't know when it will finish, and nothing is familiar. It's really like nothing before. So it's very challenging. Yeah, you know that. I don't have to repeat it. But yes, I'm aware of what you're saying, and I know, and just good reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Shall we leave it or?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you.
Ariyo.
Adios.
Ariyo. I wish you well. Be strong.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
Last week I was sick with a bad cold, and I have really difficulties to connect to that feeling of being sick. Like when you feel really uncomfortable. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
And I tried not to have any resistance, but it was very difficult.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on that?
Right. It's not that you have to learn to artificially like that state. And body sick is not comfortable. And you don't have to think, oh, it's wonderful, it's nice.
No, it's clear that.
No. But we can make it much worse by totally resisting against the fact that it is as it is. And if you get around of not resisting, of accepting, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable, even if I don't like it, it's there. And so be it. And then you at least, you are not making it worse. If you fight with it, if you are at war with the fact that you feel like this, then instead of improving your situation, then it's getting worse and worse. It's getting bigger and bigger, that uncomfortable aspect. So, well, my advice is as usual, accept the situation as good as you can. And at the same time, even in that situation, try to turn the attention back to that aspect in you that is not affected by it.
That seems to be very difficult at that moment, because
Right.
it's like if the whole, there's this very strong uncomfortable feeling in the whole body, do I have to turn towards that? No, I didn't even try at that moment, because it's not so bad like before, where I had a lot of resistance against it and a lot of self-pity, but it's still, I like to occupy my mind with something different instead of just like,
Yeah.
because being present mean that I'm present with this uncomfortableness?
Well, the uncomfortableness, being really putting your awareness on the fact that you feel uncomfortable, but then accepting, is a way to bring the attention to the present. But then if you somehow manage, in spite of the bad feeling, in spite of it not being so easy, in that acceptance that it is as it is, if you manage to relax, then you can become aware that although the physical situation is uncomfortable, there is something that is not affected, and there is well-being, and there is joyousness. And then that in spite of the uncomfortable feeling of the body, you may tap into that joyous aspect of yourself. And it's not necessarily after that removing that uncomfortable feeling, but at least it's not making it stronger. It's not feeding it that it goes longer. And you learn that even then you can actually learn to be rooted in that other aspect. And then sometimes you won't even feel that the body is uncomfortable. Then you are just rooted in that, and the body is uncomfortable. Then there may come out again the consciousness, you become more aware. There is that feeling of not being right, of feeling sick, of feeling, well, unwell. But then if you have the possibility to turn the attention back to the source, then it comes, it goes, and it doesn't build up and feel so terrible, and then you accept it much more easier.
I still have to work on that, I think.
Right, but it's possible that also when the body is sick, or when there is a big pain because of anything, that we can learn to be rooted in that aspect that is not affected and still basically experience the joyousness of existence. But as long as the body feels bad, sometimes periodically the attention has to be, that's the law of this level, has to be pulled out in that, and we experience the pain and we experience the discomfort. But if there is no resistance, if we can accept that it is like this and learn to relax, that we use that pain, not try to avoid it and say it's not there. Okay, use that pain to bring the attention in the present, but then not get stuck on that level, but by be relaxed, by consciously relaxing, even in that situation, the attention has a chance to sink deeper into your own resources. And sometimes you may have quite big spans of time, you don't even feel the discomfort of the body.
Yeah, the state of my body always affects me very much. It's like if I feel good, it seems to be much easier to meditate.
Yes.
Like now coming out of the sickness, there's always like 1 or 2 days where my immune system feels quite good and strong. And then I feel like it is very easy to focus. And after a while, my immune system usually isn't completely well. So then it's more difficult to be present. And so it's always very tied up with the feeling well of my body, how my meditation works, or being present works.
Right. But it's not so much a matter of easy or difficult. Even if it's difficult, at least you can attempt not to be a victim of the situation. At least you can, even there, consciously turn the attention back to that which makes the experience possible. Whether you are then at that moment very successful or not is another question. But the very attempt is paving the way that sometimes it does function, even in the worst of situations. And then you learn that actually you are, as a being, unaffected by it, and it loses its, gradually it loses its power.
Maybe I'm not very good at really being present or be open to that. When you say it's like open to the source, it's nothing really that I can put my finger on has a very clear feeling. So it just feels like an openness, and the openness always feels different in every time.
Right, but the openness feels different every time. But even if it's difficult and you give the impulse, okay, I redirect my attention back to the source, to that which makes it possible, then a strength gradually builds up that it's becoming more and more possible, even in those situations. And the tendency is, I feel totally justified because I'm not feeling well, not even to try it. And if we don't try it, then we are not going to be successful. But if we are attempting it, then we may somewhat successful sometimes and sometimes not successful, but it's opening the way that gradually it will get easier. So even if it's difficult, still we can attempt. Even if we are not successful, still we can attempt to come back. And that is very valuable.
Opening to the source is there a certain, that it's always the same in a certain way?
The source is always the same. It's that which makes the experience possible. And opening to the source can be through inquiry, it can be to just feel the body sensations, being aware of the breath and relax. And it's bringing you back to the source. So even if the body feels sick, and even if you don't want in any way control your breath, still you can put your attention on the breathing and let the body breathe in whatever which way it wants. But that breathing happens in the present, and if we are aware of that breathing, if we are aware that we are aware of the breathing and learn to relax in that, then that being a victim of the situation is getting weaker.
Yeah. Like in the last year, participating in the satsang, my understanding of the meditation changed or clarified. I don't know, but I'm still not. My mind still not hasn't totally comprehended it.
Right. And the mind will never totally comprehend it. The mind can just accept the direction, can accept the possibility, and then give the impulse, and then the comprehension is not a mental activity, not a click in the mind, but your own experience.
Yeah, I value the moments more where I relax and my breathing really deepens.
Yes.
So that's the way how I check it.
Right. And you can at least open up to that, even if you are sick, even if the body is sick and there is that miserable feeling there, then at least you remember those openings, you remember those moments where you felt in harmony and at ease and expansive, and that memory can inspire you to try it, at least to attempt it when you are not in a good situation, when the body is uncomfortable and when there is maybe some pain.
Okay.
Every attempt counts. Every attempt is doing something. So beware of not excusing yourself and think, oh, I just can't. It's too bad. I will start again after that when the body feels better. So don't give these kind of excuses, but no matter what, at least I can attempt to consciously connect. And then I may attempt that not much is felt, not much is happening, but still it's opening up that although the discomfort may bring you in the present, but if it's locking the attention on that physical expression level, then it doesn't become expansive. It's when we are capable of also loosening that attachment to the superficial experience. The superficial experience can be used to bring the attention in touch with the present, and then somehow or other we have to learn to let go, we have to learn to relax. And that we can learn, at least attempt to do, when we are also not in a superposition, when we are sometimes uncomfortable in our body.
Yeah, the dislike is very strong that in that moment.
But at the same time, because of that, it becomes a real powerful spiritual experience, exercise, because all the aspects of the personality justify that. I'm not trying, all the aspects of the personality say, no, 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 there I am again, I'm suffering, it shouldn't be like this, and I can't do something about it. And if we bypass that habitual personal reaction, that in itself helps us already to open up, to go deeper.
Okay, I try next time. Or I mean, I think there are a lot of possibilities in the daily life, right?
Exactly.
When things are a little bit uncomfortable.
Right. We don't have to wait until we are lying sick in bed to attempt it, but as you say, in the daily life, there are so many unpleasant, uncomfortable situations, and we can learn to deal with them in such a way that they are not just a nuisance, but they can even become something that pushes us deeper.
Okay. Next week I come to India, then I will have a lot of these opportunities.
Okay, we'll see at that time. Okay, wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome to do so.
Yeah, I would like to ask something about connecting to the essence, or
Yes.
yeah, is that yeah. What I realize is that it doesn't work one-to-one, like, okay, let's connect to the essence now and then relax and then connect, and then I should feel some kind of connection and some kind of essence or source. Obviously it's not that. I just, when listening to what you said to Andres, I just realized probably we connect to the source, to the essence so many times during a day, we just don't know it, we don't realize it. So, for instance, I think about what happened this morning when I was sitting outside on my lawn and knitting and drinking and becoming very sad, and I was very quiet and looking around and listening to the birds and to the dogs, but I was sad and I didn't like it. Wasn't comfortable.
Yes.
And something like as if there was, it's not that I was thinking, what should I do? What should I do to feel better? It wasn't like that.
Mm.
And then it was this thing that brought me to go to my neighbor who was sitting on her porch and talk to her a little bit.
Yeah.
And that made me feel better. And I'm wondering, this is some kind of voice, something that it wasn't coming out of the struggle. It was coming out of situation that some voice told me, go talk to her and tell her that you're sad.
Yeah.
And she will see that you're crying. And that made a whole shift.
Uh-huh.
So I think now from now on, I have a new idea about connecting to the source or connecting to the essence. Maybe it's not such a, I'm not sure the word, but maybe, yeah, as I said, it may happen many times a day when like there's like this and we know what to do.
Yes. You're right. And this happens to everybody. Even people who have not one single spiritual thought ever,
Yeah.
they keep on we are always connected, but every now and then the attention sinks back a moment into that source. If that was not there, people could not survive, could not stand this human experience at all. But it's so fleeting, and the attention is not trained to be aware of it, that people have no clue that they are doing that all the time. And it's not basically a difficult thing to do. But somehow it's a bit in the mind that when we consciously want to do that, then it comes also all the resistance and it's difficult and I'm not capable, I'm not good enough, and and whatever the mind brings up, and we have learned then to undo those mental resistance, and then suddenly more and more, rather for most of the people gradually, not suddenly. Suddenly sometimes there are experiences, but more and more gradually that awareness stones, actually it's not difficult at all. What I thought it's so difficult. It's something so natural. Everybody does it all the time. It's not just not aware of it, and we can do it, let it happen consciously, and then there is quite a different quality in it.
What do you mean?
Because if in that unconscious way, like people do it all the time, it's just what is needed to survive at all. But if somehow we can experience that consciously, then all those little moments that where that conscious connection really happens, then there is such a strength and the sense of well-being and an awareness of joy, no matter what is happening, that comes. That after all, in a cosmic way, everything is perfectly all right.
Yeah, things are being solved.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like also this thing with my dog. Then they came, the landlord and my neighbor, and he gave me. He had an idea about what to do for so and so with the dog, whatever. But he said he would do it. So it's like like a flower that opens.
Mm-hmm.
I went to talk to her to say I was sad, and then it brought around other hard qualities and good vibes, and yeah.
Right, and in the end, both of you were benefited.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Werner. Great.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
We can talk some more time if we want to. If there is anybody interested to come in, you are welcome to do so. All right, then let's just for a few minutes still be together, connect in our field, energetic field that we are creating together. And just be quiet and conscious of being quiet and conscious of being conscious and conscious of being alive. So just sit somehow that the body doesn't disturb too much, that feels at least to some extent comfortable, and relax. And when the mind wants to wonder and worry, but how should I do it? What should I do? When the mind is worried about circumstances, how they are, don't try to control them, but just redirect the attention to that simple fact that you are here now, alive. Feel the body sensations, relax them, and feel the breath. We need not control it. Just being aware of the breath. It's quietening down all by itself in that awareness. Just now. Now. Now is timeless. Center in the now. And breathe and relax. Now is alive. Now we are out of time. Past and future are mental operations. Now we are touching reality. No need of trying to attain a certain state, achieve something. Just be at ease, at peace. And the heart is opening automatically. And the experience becomes subtler and more expansive without doing anything, without wanting to get somewhere. Just be here, now. Not in the past, not in the future, now. And breathe and relax. Whatever is happening comes and goes. That expression that manifestation is continuously changing. Now is immovable, solid. From here now, we are aware of those continuous changes. But this essence is not affected, no matter what is happening. Then we can become again more acutely aware of the body, of the sensations, connect with this level, connect with the surroundings, and keep the awareness that there is always this ground, no matter what is happening, unaffected, at ease, at peace, the source of the joyousness of existence. We we learn to live more from this perspective. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.